This morning, there's a huge article right across the top of the Sunday Times, and Kemi Badenoch paints herself as embattled, struggling to define herself as leader of the opposition, accused by critics of having won her position through tokenism, and they are accused by her of being racists. She says that she is the victim of what she calls Kemi derangement syndrome. Today, I want to argue that these accusations are misplaced, that tokenism is too simplistic an explanation, and that the deeper issue is whether she can revive a party exhausted by 14 years of power and electoral defeat, and that I think she cannot. I think she doesn't have the mentality and the attitude or the charisma to save the Conservative Party. The longer she hangs on, the more assured it is that the Conservative Party is doomed, is doomed, and it is her doing. Badenoch's own line is stark. Those who suggest she is only leader because of diversity optics are racists. It's a deliberately provocative counterattack, but one that has some traction given the online bile directed against her ethnicity. But the charge of tokenism wilts under scrutiny. The Conservative Party has already elected a series of leaders whose background has nothing to do with skin colour. Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and Rishi Sunak. If the Tory grassroots had wanted to play identity politics, they had other opportunities. Badenoch's rival, Robert Jenrick, is a perfect foil. Slick videos, social media stunts, and his endless obsession with migration have made him visible, but electable? That's another matter. Jenrick was rejected once already by the membership, and his personal brand is narrow, angry, and one note. The truth is that Badenoch beat him on merit, and to suggest otherwise is to erase the democratic choice of that limited group of Conservative members. They made the wrong decision, of course, but either decision that they made would have been wrong. At the time, I think Jenrick was the better choice, but Jenrick has proven that he is now unelectable. Badenoch is right to note that she faces tropes that echo old stereotypes, being accused of laziness, of lateness, of being the puppet of older white men. These are not policy criticisms, they are personal and racialized. She has chosen to meet these accusations with the language of toughness and resilience. She repeatedly tells the story of arriving from Nigeria at 16, of working at McDonald's, of fighting her way into politics. Whether you like her or not, hers is not a token story, it's a story of grit. The bigger problem is not identity, but numbers. And polling shows Reform UK consistently ahead of the Conservatives, with Labour far out in front. Badenoch is trying to stabilise the party, but she has so far failed to cut through with the public. Her strategy has been to emphasise traditional Tory values, family fiscal rectitude, border control, while avoiding heavy platform policy. Critics say this makes her invisible. Supporters say it's prudent, buying time for forgiveness after electoral defeat. But she's also lent heavily towards the Reform image, and she would be better off staking her territory in the genuine centre rather than this fake centre-right. Tokenism is a lazy criticism because it avoids engaging with the harder truth that Badenoch won a competitive leadership contest and has serious backers among the Tory grassroots, or at least had serious backers among the Tory grassroots. Identity didn't prevent Theresa May being her Prime Minister, nor Boris Johnson, nor indeed Rishi Sunak. The charge of tokenism only arises now because the Conservative Party is in trouble. It's easier to say she is a diversity hire than to admit the moment she leads may simply be about the exhaustion of the party. But it's more than that. I think the choice between Kemi Badenoch and Robert Jenrick was Hobson's choice, the worst of two options. And she calls Nigel Farage a bullshit artist. She's using language there from Jason Cleverly. And she has a point. Farage offers no programme for government, only slogans and grievance. but she is haunted by him and steers as close to a sort of shadow, to an imitation, as she possibly can. She is wrong. And so is the Labour Party wrong to do the same thing. She needs to move back into the centre ground or over to the left. So does the Labour Party. You can't out Farage. He's taken a third of her vote. If she cannot win those votes back, no amount of resilience will matter. Her fight is not only against the Labour Party or Jenrick, but against irrelevance. So is Kemi Badenoch a token? No, not particularly. Is she capable? No. The evidence points to a leader chosen by her party in a fair contest, facing the normal difficulties of opposition magnified by the collapse of Conservative credibility and the rise of Reform UK. The fact that Kemi Badenoch is there demonstrates the inadequacy of the Conservative electoral system. The fact that she is there demonstrates the absurdity of her being elected by such a small group of people who don't really know who she is. Much better to have that election among the Conservative members of Parliament who actually know what they're getting into. But they put her and Jenrick forward, and both were a mistake. The evidence so far is that she is, during the period that she's been in office, is that she is inadequate. And to claim that she's a token hire is to misunderstand both the party that chose her and the electoral reality she faces. The true question is not whether she was chosen for optics, but whether she has the ideas, the stamina, and the political skill to hold her party together long enough to challenge for power. And I think the answer to that is that she doesn't have those qualities, but neither does Robert Jenrick. There has to be a third alternative if the Conservative Party is to survive into the next general election. My own hunch is that it will prove no match for either the Labour Party or the Lib Dems, or indeed your party, which is doing so spectacularly well, despite not yet being a proper party, despite not yet having a name, and despite having a rift right at the top between Sultana and Corbyn himself. This hasn't stopped the flood of particularly younger people towards the Corbyn banner, that rallying cry, which is something Corbyn has charisma that Badenoch yearns for. Corbyn has charisma that equals that of Farage. That is a remarkable achievement. Unlike Farage, Corbyn also has ideas. And if it's going to be a battle between Corbyn and Farage, these two minor kingmakers, I think Corbyn is going to come off better than Farage. That's my prediction. But Badenoch is an irrelevance.